Very good morning, my dear students. I hope you all people may likely to come back to the college soon, maybe after Diwali. The hectic plans are going on both by administration as well as the directions given by the government. And finally, taking all the precautions needed for the prevention of a coronavirus problem. You are likely to come to colleges soon, and there is a plan, meticulous plan is going on in the campus, and probably only 1/3 of the total strength of your batch will be permitted for maybe first 10 days, first 1/3, and the second 10 days, second 1/3, and third 1/3, 10 days in a month probably will be allocated to you. And again, these 50 members also will be subdivided into another 3 batches, and each sub batch, that means which may be containing 17 persons or 16 persons, will be handed over to anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry for 3 different batches to 3 different departments, and they will be turning to the next department and the next department in one day. So all the 50 people will be spending about 2 hours in anatomy, 2 hours in biochemistry, and 2 hours in physiology. So that is how we are planning, and physically we will be training you in that particular portion which is not being completed. So probably in the anatomy, lot of course may be there, and physiology some, and in biochemistry we have very little. And but as far as the practicals are concerned, we need to have training directly, and that is going to happen soon. Meanwhile, still our same lectures, virtual lectures, will be continuing for maybe another week or so. Then in today's class, we shall discuss vitamin D, vitamins starting, vital amines. But later on, they came to know they are not all amines, but they are vital for health of all the animals. They are needed in micro quantities. They are vital, important for the health, of individual or an animal. If not given, if not supplied in sufficient quantity, there results a problem, a disease, a difficulty to the animal. So, and they are all organic in nature, not inorganic ones. Inorganic ones are being taken out, are removed from this category. They are eliminated, and then they are required in micro quantities, mind you, micro quantities. So, an organic substance needed to the health of an organism in micro quantities. They are not synthesized completely, required sufficient amount, cannot be synthesized in the body is another clause, and hence they are vital and called a group of substances, vital substances called vitamins. And then they are found, the scientists have found that there are 2 categories, water soluble variety and fat soluble variety. And these fat soluble variety, initially 2 of the principles, initially they are understood that probably one category, and if that fat soluble material principle is not available, they saw 2 different problems. One is night blindness, another is bony abnormalities. And then after examining that particular principle, they found two different categories of substances. One is a retinol, a alcoholic substance, and another one is a cholecalciferol, that is a cholesterol similar substance. And these two different substances, their functions are entirely different. So that is what we understood. And now we have very clarity on these two different molecular substances. Discovered by Dr. McCollum. McCollum was the first man who has studied this problem. Francis Glisson, who has born in the 15th century, from 1599 to 1677, a British physician. They themselves are also interested in anatomy and a writer on medical subjects. He has first suspected if certain material is not being properly given to the individual, and then there can be a disease. So now we will go directly into the vitamin D. We discuss one by one: chemistry, sources, RDA. RDA recommended daily elements. This minimum amount that is needed. If not, there is going to be a deficiency disorder. And the metabolism, how does it convert it in the body? What does it functions it supports? If it is not sufficiently available, what is the deficiency disorders? And in certain circumstances, there can be, if with the over enthusiasm or to treat the deficiency, if you give the vitamin-rich foods in excess, there can be, for a long time, there can be a toxicity. And in these guidelines, we will discuss. Vitamin D, what is its chemical nature? It is a sterol. What is the parent substance for sterol? Cholesterol. We all know. And on the synthesis of sterol, final product, cholesterol, just before that, 2-3 steps before, there is a substance called 7-dehydrocholesterol. This 7-dehydrocholesterol is a, if it is going in the same direction, it may be synthesizing the cholesterol, but it goes in another direction. What is the direction? This goes into the Malpighian layer of the skin. And when it is being irradiated by maybe sunlight, sunlight is also containing some small quantity of UV light. And in the UV light, that particular wavelength, 300 nanometers plus or minus 10 nanometers. That means 292, say 315 in fact. That particular wavelength in between, when it is being exposed onto the 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is being present in the skin Malpighian layer, this will be converted to our needed substance. What is that needed substance? Vitamin D3, and whose name is cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol. Its actual name is D3. There is another one which is also having the potency similar to the same substance, and that is ergocalciferol. It's mainly obtained in the yeast and also some amount in the plant material. Ergocalciferol. So that is given the name D2. D2 ergocalciferol, plant origin, and D3 cholecalciferol, which is animal origin. And then what is this D1? In the past, initially, people felt a particular mixed substance is called as D1. That is D2 and D3 combined together, they thought a single substance, and they have given the name D1. But yet, later on, they realized that this is nothing but D2 plus D3 is D1. So D1 is now not coming in our discussion. So that is what it is. So 7-dehydrocholesterol, vitamin D3, that is cholecalciferol. This is being synthesized, it is being converted in the skin of the human being. Whereas ergosterol, it is converted in the plants itself as ergocalciferol, and this is being consumed. But mind you, this vitamin D3 can be obtained from animal produces which we are eating. So like mainly egg. Egg is containing vitamin D3 polycalciferol directly. So we can consume it by nutrition, by local synthesis. So those people who are exposed to sunlight are less likely to have the deficiency of D. So that is important. Vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol occurs in the fish liver and also produced in the human skin by ultraviolet light. The inactive natural precursor of vitamin D, any inactive natural precursors present in the body are called as provitamins. Provitamins. Like that, for the A also you have beta carotene, is a provitamin. Only 2 of these have been found in the nature. This is a statement for you only. Even ergosterol and 7-dehydrocholesterol. So these precursors are 2, ergosterol and 7-dehydrocholesterol. B2 found in the plants is converted to ergocalciferol, and in the animals this is converted in the skin to the ergocalciferol. So polycalciferol. So ergocalciferol, polycalciferol both are having the function of D. All the provitamins D possess certain essential structural characteristics. They all have OH group at the C3. Cholesterol is also having some same. And 2 conjugated double bonds between C5, C6 and between C7 and C8. A hydrocarbon chain at C7 here. So a side chain. Transformation from inactive provitamin to the active vitamin is accomplished by the ultraviolet rays. That's what we have discussed. The photochemical activation or photolysis results only in the intramolecular rearrangement only. Intramolecular rearrangement. This is ergosterol. This is a 5 to 6 and 7 to 8 double bonds. And this is at the 17th position, there is a side chain. The side chain of this ergosterol, the side chain of cholesterol is a little bit varying. You can see it. So now, this is by photolysis, both of them by photolysis. There is an opening up of this one of the ring, and this is the most important thing. Here and here. Here and here. The ring is opened, and that is how it becomes a ergocalciferol and cholecalciferol. And at the 3rd position, hydroxyl group, 3rd position, hydroxyl group. So, and side chain is different with both. That's why they are called, one is ergo and there is chole. So this is D2 and D3. These are now active forms, supposed to be useful forms, not active, useful forms. They are not used as immediately. Now, dietary sources. What are the various foods where the vitamin D is present? The fish liver oil, cod liver oil. Cod is a fish. That's cod liver oil is the highest concentration of the D component is there. So fish liver oils are the just source. Egg yolk, margarine, lard also contain considerable quantity of vitamin D. Some quantity is also present in butter and cheese. They are good. They are good fate. Ergosterol widely distributed in the plants, so plant materials, especially yeast. It is not absorbed well, hence it is not nutritional of importance. This ergosterol absorption is a little less compared to cholecalciferol, which is readily absorbed. 7-dehydrocholesterol is formed from cholesterol in the intestinal mucosa and principally in the liver, passed on to the skin, where it undergoes activation to vitamin D3 by the action of solar UV rays. That's what we discussed. So now it's a diagrammatic representation. Salmon fish, eggs, cheese, fortified foods, and mushrooms, are also having rich quantity. So vitamin D by sunlight, they also we will get it. Vitamin D recommended daily allowance, 200 to 400 international units per day. Again, this is most important. 200 to 400 international units per day. These are measured as international units by biological experiments, biological nutritional experiments. This is otherwise, which is equivalent to chemically or otherwise mass 5 to 10 micrograms. This is equivalent to 5 to 10 micrograms. And that means 1 microgram is roughly 40 international units. 1 microgram of vitamin D is equal to 40 international units. But in children, you see, their need is a little higher side. So 400 international units is a must, and more than that. And for the adults, even 200 international units will be sufficient. But whereas in the pregnancy, lactation, there is a need of 10 micrograms. Again. You see, above the age of 60, you need to have minimum 600 international units. Especially this is true in case of women who are in the menopausal age. And unless there is a good amount of vitamin D is there, your calcium cannot be absorbed. Unless there is a sufficient vitamin D is there, the calcium cannot be absorbed. Even though calcium is taken in the food. Most important statement, you should never forget. How is it absorbed? Like most other fat-soluble vitamins, so it takes the pathway of fat digestion and absorption. So for that fat absorption, what is needed? Bile salts and bile pigments. So bile salts help in the absorption of the duodenum and jejunum. After absorption, it carried in the chylomicron droplets of the lymph in the combination with serum globulin in the plasma. So in the lymph, it goes into the chylomicrons. Once it is entering into the blood, when the thoracic duct is delivering its contents into the systemic circulation, once it is added into the blood, immediately the alpha-2 globulin, this is vitamin D binding globulin, immediately comes near to it and takes it onto the into the vicinity or area which is being present in that molecule for the sake of vitamin D, and then it carries in the blood plasma. So vitamin D metabolism in the diagrammatic form. When the sunlight falls in the skin malpighian layer, there is present 70 cholesterol is converted to cholecalciferol D3. This is with the help of vitamin D binding globulin carried over to the liver, and it hands over D3 to the liver. In the liver, this D3 immediately is being converted to 25 hydroxy D3, 25 hydroxy D3, or even if it is D2, also 25 hydroxy D2. This is an enzyme, 25 hydroxylase enzyme is richly present in this liver, and this will be stored in the liver till the need comes. What is that need? We will later we'll discuss. So till need comes, what all the food cholecalciferol D3 or synthesized D3 will be reaching the liver and being stored in the liver as 25 hydroxy D3, as 25 hydroxy D3. Fine. Now, when this is there, when it is there, then another way is that the dietary food D3 or D2 also will be entering in the intestine and absorbed in the chylomicrons and is also reaching the liver. So, synthesized in the body, food material, both vitamin D3 and D2 has come to the liver and been converted to 25 hydroxy vitamin D's, D3 or D2. So here it is stored. Now, next what is going to happen? The serum calcium. when serum calcium is altered or reduced. This is the sensor for the whole metabolism. When serum calcium level is reduced, this will be sensed by your parathyroid. And your parathyroid liberates parathormones. So, senses low calcium levels and the increased PTH secretion. When there is an increased PTH secretion, then this will be acting mainly in the kidney. What does it do? Kidney sends a signal. And not only that, the low calcium also in the liver releases 25 hydroxy D3 or D2. So from here, both the signals will be sending down the 25 hydroxy. It is coming to the kidney. And the PTH influence, there is an enzyme, 1-alpha hydroxylase. This acts on this 25 hydroxy D3 and producing another substance, 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy. Here, the di is not there, dihydroxy D3 or cholecalciferol. 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy D3 or cholecalciferol. So this is the active form. This active form is being synthesized in the kidney, and this releases this active form. Mind you, originally this 7-dehydrocholesterol, it is a cholesterol, being a cholesterol, is having a hydroxyl group. And here a hydroxyl group in the liver is added, so 2 hydroxyl groups. And in the kidney, there is another hydroxyl group is added, so 3 hydroxyl groups. So when this is called as cholecalciferol, here the newer name is, instead of 25 hydroxy D3, the name is, as there is 2 hydroxyl groups, calcidiol. Calcidiol is the newer name. Now, one more hydroxyl group is there. So, for 125 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, the newer name is calcitriol. Calcitriol are synonymous with 25 hydroxy D3 and 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy, 25 hydroxy, 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy D3s are synonymous. So now this is the most important active form of D3. This is the most important active form of D3. What is the main function of D? Maintains the calcium homeostasis. Maintains the calcium homeostasis. Again, maintains the calcium homeostasis. D controls calcium levels in the body, calcium metabolism in the body. Put it strongly in your brain. So now, there was some reason calcium is reduced in the circulation. So we need to increase the calcium levels. Readily available calcium, where is it present? Kgs of calcium in the bone. So immediately, this particular one influences the bone to release a small quantity of calcium. So increases bone. It has influence on the bone. And mainly the parathyroid directly goes and it asks the bone to release a little bit of calcium. But 125, it will not do so, but it has other way. What is that other way? This mainly goes to the intestines. And in the intestines, if there is calcium, up to the last molecule of calcium, it tries to conserve, it tries to absorb. If this principle is not there, even though there is enough calcium, calcium may not be absorbed. Calcium may not be absorbed. If this active form, calcitriol, 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy vitamin D3, if present, will allow the intestines to absorb. How does it do? Absorption means the cells. The cells means their membranes. In the villar cells membranes, there present the molecules which can absorb in the transporter molecules. So this transporter molecules synthesis in this intestinal cells is stimulated by this particular 1-alpha 25 hydroxy 3. Otherwise, this acting like a hormone to initiate gene transcription, initiate the gene transcription of that protein, which is having a capability to do absorb calcium transporter molecules, proteins are synthesized in more and more numbers with the help of the stimulus of the hormone 1-alpha 25. A vitamin now became converted to an active principle which is acting similar to that of a hormone, which is the speciality of vitamin D here. Whereas vitamin A directly acts, but whereas here it is acting through gene transcription like a hormone. So vitamin D is not only a vitamin, but its active principle is acting like a hormone, is the present day understanding, which was not there in the olden days. So now, repeat, there are three important principles which maintains the homeostasis of calcium. One is parathormone, another is vitamin D, and there is vitamin D absorption. Okay. Vitamin D metabolism. Absorption. How does it absorb D3, D2 in the upper small intestine, the site, along with the lipids required by the cells? Vitamin D metabolism, again, transport. It is binding to vitamin D binding globulin. That is already explained to you. And vitamin D, synthesis of active form of vitamin D, and active form is 1-alpha 25 dihydroxycholecalciferol or calcitriol in the kidney. It is again complete overview from the sunlight in the skin, 70 hydrocholesterol to vitamin D3, and also from the diet vitamin D3 going into the liver, 25 hydroxylase and calcidiol or otherwise 25 hydroxy cholecalciferol, and 1-alpha hydroxylase again in the kidney. It is becoming 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy vitamin D, and parathormone influences the kidney to produce more 1-alpha, and it has an influence on serum calcium and phosphate. So now it is absorption from the intestine is mainly influenced. And on the muscle also the calcium homeostasis it will take care. So now the present concept is vitamin D is needed for the proper muscle function. So muscle cramps nowadays also treatment is given by vitamin D presently. And once its function is finished, and some amount of calcium also enters by resorption. So now that is it. And catabolism, once 125 has done its complete function, it will be metabolized to 24-25. The alpha 120 instead of 1-alpha hydroxylation, 25 hydroxylation. When 25 hydroxylation is occurring, or extra one more hydroxylation, that is 4 hydroxylations occurring, then they are excreted in the metabolites. Excreted into the metabolite as a metabolites. How is it regulated? Regulation of calcitriol synthesis is done by one is feedback inhibition of 1-alpha hydroxylase. And second one is parathyroid hormone and also serum phosphate levels. These three controls. When hypocalcemia is there, leads to marked increase in the 1-alpha hydroxylase activity. The effect requires PTH. That's what we have discussed already. As stated above, calcitriol regulates its own concentration since high levels of calcitriol inhibits 1-alpha hydroxylase itself and stimulates the formation of that is excretory product 24-25 or 1-24-25. It is excreted. And now, one more diagrammatic. The sunlight, B vitamin is becoming D. In the fortified milk, orange juice, etc. From the diet, and also in the fish or supplements, all of them producing D. D is transported to liver, stored there, and the 25-hydroxy stored one is liberated out, going to the kidney. In the kidney becomes 1-alpha 25-hydroxy D, and it improves the calcium level and the muscle and bone health. It is taking care of regulation of blood pressure, insulin production, heart disease and diabetes prevention. These are all being now inclined for the healthy calcium homeostasis. This is one side. Another side is prostate gland, breast, colon, lung, and immune cells are also a little bit. They need 125-hydroxy calcitriol and the regulation of immune function and the diabetes type 1 and then rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disease, etc. MS. These are all also is being improved. They are all being treated, and the regulation of cell growth and prevention of cancer. These are all recent advances where vitamin D is able to take care of these functions also. And bone metabolism, balanced system. Calcium absorption meets metabolic demands. Normal bone mineralization is maintained. So when food calcium is entering into the blood, and that calcium will be pumped into the bone by the 1-alpha 25. So mineralization, bone mineralization is dependent on vitamin D. Demineralization is possible by parathormone. So now, in vitamin D deficient state, calcium absorption decreases. Low calcium causes increased PTH. And calcium reabsorption is mainly mobilization of calcium from the bone is added to the circulation and maintains the calcium levels. Now, mode of action of calcitriol. Calcitriol acts in a similar way as a steroid hormone receptors. Already discussed. This binding is specific and reversible. The receptor has a specific binding site on a DNA that, if that is gene, appears to contain the mechanism is zinc finger motif characteristic of other steroid receptors. There is a mechanism, zinc finger motif. Vitamin D as a prohormone. So now we call it as a prohormone. Since calcitriol is synthesized in the body and acts like a steroid hormone and has a basic steroid nucleus in its structure, it is now regarded as a hormone and vitamin D as a prohormone. And what is this regulation? Diet and UVB producing D3 and hepatic conversion 25 and then local conversion, that is increased 1-alpha 25 in the kidney and increased calcium and then increased phosphate and increased PGF 23 and these things, well, and finally excreted as 124-25 or 24-25 as the excretory products. The targets are gut, kidney, bone, immune cells, muscle, and pancreas. So these are the final targets where D acts. Again, synthesis of calcitriol, again, it is depicted. So 1-hydroxyl group, this is the cholecalciferol, After 25 hydroxylase action in the liver, 25 hydroxy, that is here and here. So there are 2 hydroxyl groups. That's why it is called calcidiol. And in the kidney, 1 alpha hydroxylase, adding one more hydroxyl group, one more hydroxyl group, and hence 1 alpha 25 dihydroxy polycalciferol, otherwise 3 hydroxyl groups of calcitriol. So cholesterol, 7 dehydrocholesterol, ubylate polycalciferol, and enzymes conversion to the active form. Functions of vitamin D. What are the functions? Again, on bones, on kidneys, and intestinal mucosa to regulate calcium and phosphate metabolism. With the help of three organs acting on these 3 organs, it maintains calcium levels. Intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphate. It binds to the chromatin of target tissue and express the gene that is in the intestines. In the gene, and the calcium binding protein as well as calcium ATPase in the intestinal cells is produced. This increases the calcium absorption by actively transporting calcium across the plasma membrane against the electrochemical gradient, that is the membrane of the intestinal cell. Absorption occurs. And mineralization of bones. Mineralization of bone is promoted. Sir, class lo okay. నేను చెప్తాను మాట్లాడాను చెప్తాను. Mineralization of bone is promoted by 125 as well as 2425. It is believed that the synthesis of calcium binding proteins like osteocalcin and alkaline phosphatase is promoted, which increases calcium and phosphate ions deposition in the bone. Deposition in the bone. These ions enhance the mineral deposition in the bone. 2425 helps the deposition of hydroxyapatite in the bone. This is a recent advance. So you see, 2425 dihydroxypolycalciferol helps the deposition of hydroxyapatite in the bone. That is, increases the strength of the bone. Vitamin D also believed to promote bone resorption and calcium mobilization to raise the levels of calcium and phosphorus in blood in association with PTH. But PTH is there, then only. The action of calcitriol on the intestine. How does it act in the intestine? Bone is over. Calcitriol increases the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphate. In the intestinal cells, calcitriol binds with a cytosolic receptor to form a calcitriol receptor complex. This complex then approaches the nucleus of that cell and interacts with a specific DNA segment, leading to the synthesis of a specific calcium binding protein in that cell, and is recruited in the membranes. And calcium is, this protein increases the calcium uptake by the intestine. The mechanism of action of calcitriol on the target tissue is similar to the action of a steroid hormone. What are the functions of vitamin D and its metabolites in the intestines? So, in brief, promotes intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphate. Vitamin D promotes intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphate. In the bone, it stimulates normal mineralization, enhances bone reabsorption, affects collagen maturation. These are the on bone. In the kidney, increases tubular reabsorption of phosphate and conserves calcium not to go away from the body. So again, in the intestine, on the intestine, promotes intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus. Action on bones stimulates normal mineralization, enhances bone reabsorption, and affects collagen maturation. And on the kidney, increases tubular reabsorption of phosphate, and thus conserves calcium. And the deficiency of the leads to, in the children, rickets, in the elderly people, osteomalacia. And there is another dysregulation producing renal osteodystrophy. Kidney problem also produces bone abnormality, that is osteodystrophy, due to kidney malfunction or otherwise kidney failure. So rickets in the children, only you call it in the children rickets. In the elderly, the deficiency is osteomalacia. Deficiency due to kidney is called as the deficiency occurring due to kidney disease on the bones is due to, it is called as renal osteodystrophy. So three forms of deficiency. Rickets is a defective mineralization or calcification of bones before epiphyseal closures in immature mammals due to deficiency or impaired metabolism of vitamin D and phosphorus or calcium, potentially leading to fractures and deformity. Rickets is among the most frequent childhood disease in many developing countries or underdeveloped countries. What are the signs and symptoms? Bone pains and tenderness, dental problems, delayed teeth formation and deformities in the children mainly, muscle weakness, floppy baby syndrome or slinky baby, increased tendency for fractures, easily broken bones, especially green stick fractures. That means green sticks are not complete, partial fractures. Impaired growth, short stature, because there is unhealthy bones, enlargement of the liver and spleen. These are the signs and symptoms of the rickets baby. There are various forms, you see. One model, you see, rickety children, how he appears. Bone section through the hip, you see, solid bone matrix, a porosis, weakened bone matrix, porosis in adults, and also the child. Deficiency of vitamin D or inability to utilize vitamin D may lead to a condition called rickets and osteomalacia, a weakening or softening of bones brought on by extreme calcium loss because of calcium loss. You see, bowed legs, curved or one side curved legs. And osteomalacia again, you see normal bone and malacia bone. You see how there is a wide spaces. Causes of osteomalacia, a disease, intestinal disease, celiac disease, where absorption is defective, and kidney and liver dysfunction, where then even though vitamin D is there, it cannot be hydroxylated at the liver, at the kidney, both places. So active form is not being formed, anti-epileptic use. These ones, they will not, they counter the alpha, the calcitriol action. They nullifies the action of calcitriol, and hence there is going to be osteomalacia. And renal osteodystrophy, kidney failure, in the low glomerular filtration rate, increased phosphate excretion, and hence there is decreased phosphate excretion and increased phosphate. And on the other side, activation of vitamin D is reduced, impaired calcium absorption from the gut, the low serum calcium, increased PTH is leading to osteoitis fibrosa, and on the other side, bone demineralization resulting in osteomalacia, and also bone demineralization is increased serum calcium and increased serum phosphate, and there is going to be metastatic calcifications. Metastatic calcifications, both sides. There is osteomalacia. On the other side, there is a metastatic calcifications. Renal osteodystrophy is a bone disease that occurs when your kidney fails to maintain proper levels of calcium and phosphate in the blood. So mainly, D deficiency rickets mainly, and also it produces osteomalacia in the elderly, and kidney disease, kidney failure, vascular dystrophy. So 3 forms. Hypervitaminosis D. Normally, vitamin D is well tolerated if taken in the larger quantities also, but serious deleterious effects may be produced if taken extremely large doses, 500 to 1,000 times of normal requirements of prolonged periods. Effects are mainly due to induced hypercalcemia. So, what are the immediate effects? Include anorexia, lassitude, and the polyuria, constipation, polyuria, followed by later on nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. That is immediate effects. And the delayed effects are persistent hypercalcemia, hyperphosphatemia may produce urinary lithias, stones in the kidneys. Metastatic calcifications, various places in the soft tissues, there can be a hardening due to calcium deposition, like in the kidneys, the bronchi, the pulmonary alveoli, muscles, arteries, gastric mucosa, renal failure may occur and lead to death. In growing children, there may be excessive mineralization of the zone of provenal calcification at the expense of diaphysis, which may undergo demineralization. Note, certain clinical disorders have been attributed to states of hypervitaminosis. There is one is sarcoidosis, is a disease involving abnormal collections of inflammatory cells that form lumps known as granulomas. This disease usually begins in the lungs, skin, and lymph nodes. Idiopathic hypercalcemia of children is another one. Boyaxis. Thank you. So this is about a short recollection of vitamin D. Thank you very much. You try to you start reading from now onwards. Once you come to the college, the examinations may start soon. So now, don't waste your time. Try to work hard and review. We have reviewed all the subject at least twice. I hope you all are working hard and trying to pass the examination in the first incidence itself. And don't waste your time, and you read very well. And hope you all get through the examination without having any problem, even though many uncomfortable events have happened due to this current problem. Thank you very much.